The thing is, I already recorded this video and my mic wasn't plugged in all the way. And man, I really grew attached to the way that I did it the first time. What if I re-recorded my vocals onto the bad vocals? I wanted to talk about this movie, Misericordia. I'm not gonna do that, but it's not bad actually. Because I was so passionate, you know? Good, evil, or I can use the failed attempt as B-roll in case you get sick of looking at me in this current state. Okay, this movie, Misericordia, I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. It was also kind of a jumping off point to thinking about a lot of different things within film around the premise, vehicle, like genre, and then the meat of the movie, like what the movie's really about. The logline for the movie, or what it's going to be about, that you can easily say it's about, is Jeremy returns to his hometown for the funeral of his former boss, the village baker. A mysterious disappearance, a threatening neighbor, and a priest with strange intentions make Jeremy's short stay in the village take an unexpected turn. There's such genre elements. It is a thriller. It's like Dostoevsky. Yeah, there's something that happens that you can tell people this is what happens in the movie. But then the meat of the movie, what the movie's really about, I really felt when I left the movie's about how do you exist as a person in the world with so much suffering that we are all just inherently culpable in. This is actually what I said about it before I even watched interviews where he talks about it, because I feel like the theme, the meat, really comes through in two key scenes that stick with you like after the movie's done. The scene when they're in the confession, and then the scene where they're on the hill on the mountaintop. But here's what he actually said in an interview about the movie.
Of course, especially regarding culpability in this world and myself facing the woes, the miseries of this world. I mean, this is something that goes way back. You know, I've asked myself, what is a criminal in a world where there are crimes everywhere?
The point of me talking about this, it made me think about how there are certain movies where the vehicle, that's why I drew a car. The vehicle of the movie, the premise, what it's about, that you could easily tell somebody the movie is about at a party without getting too deep and heavy. The vehicle is like basically what is getting people to sit down and watch your movie. The vehicle is kind of like the marketing agent for your film, because it's like, yeah, it's this thriller, it's this...
He decides to stay a few days with Martine, the man's widow.
And you're gonna go see it just based on the happenings, the plot. But the meat of what the movie's really about is, in my favorite movies, is always there, which is an expression of like the director's perspective, what they think about life, what they think about existing. People talk about this on and on. I mean, I know this is out there, but then there's a lot of movies that I feel like just have the vehicle, and then the meat is not very strong, or it's just barely there. It's like, because I feel like there's a game around coming up with a good vehicle, a good premise, a good plot. It is kind of something you can gamify. The other thing is a bit more nebulous, that is just having to do with cultivating your voice and your perspective as an artist that you're going to put into any medium that you then try to do. Like, that is something that is cultivated over time and life experience that might have nothing to do with like movies. I mean, movies are a part of it, but like experiences you have that shape you, those are the things that you also are cultivating, because that's going to be what your movie is like deeply about or something, right? I'm rereading the Godard biography, Everything is Cinema, and there's a lot of examples of this where Godard like will get the money and to make a movie that's like based on a script that he has no intention of like really doing, but we can tell them it's about two lovers on the run and yada yada yada, because he knows it's just about taking this premise, and then once I have this, I'm gonna make a bunch of decisions that make sense to me, and then the movie will come together, and the plot and stuff, the premise is just a way to get money. And then what's interesting with him is like he had cultivated his voice as a critic for so long that he had the voice, and so then when he made a movie, he just kind of was working from that intuitive place about what's right, what he wants to see in a movie, and that shaped the movie. An example of Pierrot Le Fou, I know I butchered it.
Quand j'ai vu Pierrot le Fou, j'avais 15 ans.
I gotta learn how to like speak. He commissioned a writer to make this screenplay, and then they used the screenplay to get the locations, but then he had this There's a line in the biography that's like, I had no idea what I was going to do with it.
As he later recalled, when I began Parola Fou 1 week before, I was completely panicked. I didn't know what to do. Based on the book, we had already established all the locations, we had hired the people, and I was wondering what we were going to do with it all.
The vehicle of the movie is like inherently connected to its commercial viability. So that's the reason why also people want to get good at that, because this other thing is more nebulous and nobody really cares about it, right? Like, oh yeah, what it's really about, yada yada. I don't care. I was entertained and it was good.
This is kind of cynical. I don't know if this is actually true, but just in theory.
Industry-wise, if you can get good at making plots and shit, you'll probably be all right and nobody will even notice. There's kind of a commercial incentive to be good at one thing then not really develop the other thing that is like, what is it about? They can always slap what it's about on it that like is barely really there. An example I go to, Saltburn, right? The vehicle for that is huge. We could have transported, a deep truth. They're not really worried about the meat of that film because they're just gonna say like, it's about class. There's certain themes you could just like shoehorn into the thing.
I do hate to be a hater in this way. I feel like I just needed to give at least one example of what I'm saying in that other direction of it only having this vehicle and feeling like the inner core of it was a little empty.
I think it can get a little bit even, not addicting, but like you might be inspired to make something because you thought of a clever premise, you thought of a clever plot, and then this will happen, then this will happen, and then it ends, haha. But then the meat of it, what is it really about? Well, whatever. Like, whatever. I don't know. It's just not really incentivized to really think about what it's really about. And now I have even more of an appreciation for when the vehicle is really strong, they were able to like still kind of get their intuition or their spin on things like is inside of it. Like in a Western or a classic like noir, it's like there's the material, the vehicle is so like strong. And then to also inside of that, within such a systemized like industrial process of making those types of movies, to still have something deeper going on. I've come to really enjoy that and appreciate that. Another example of this that I brought up in my failed video, Phantom Thread is like this. In the interviews at the time, what's the inspiration for this movie? And it was like, I was sick, my wife was taking care of me. It started from this abstract, weird place.
All of these articles that might reference it are like just blocked for me, and I can't get them to. This WordPress one is referencing the original. How did you get the idea for Phantom Thread? Is it true that you were under the weather and being cared for? I remember that I was very sick, just with the flu, and my wife was taking care of me. And my imagination just took over at some point, where I had this thought, oh, she is looking at me with such care and tenderness. Wouldn't it suit her to keep me sick in this state? It gave me an idea that such a thing could be served up with some spark of mischievousness and humor that might, in a larger picture, lend itself to what it means to be in a long-term relationship, and the balance of power that can happen in that.
He married like something he was really thinking about, and he made it the meat inside of this like
man and a woman, romantic, sister, question mark, gothic romance, all those little things that you just kind of keep noting to yourself. And then going back and watching Rebecca again, and then watching Vertigo again, and watching all those things again, and looking for clues, and reading Daphne du Maurier, and kind of filling up on stuff that was in this venue,
Beefing up the vehicle around that initial seed of the thing.
That's the vehicle, like that's what the movie's about. And you can just easily say that's what the movie's about, and it's so convenient to have that. And actually, this is something I've been thinking about with my own films. The meat of what my film Beyond Failure is about, I think I realized as I was making it, but it was convenient to just be at a party and people ask you what it's about, and I don't need to get into like any abstract nitty-gritty. I don't need to get vulnerable with people I don't know. I can just say, it's a movie about a girl who wants to get an ass and she's like gets obsessed with getting an ass. Something around those lines I could easily just keep saying, like that would have them interested in seeing the film without me having to get into like, it's about like always like living in the future and never really feeling connected to your current life because of the person that you think that you're going to become and how you are, become delusional with this future person and years of your life go by. I don't need to get into any of that. Like, and honestly, like they might not even find that it's about that. That's like the strength of your ability to execute on maybe getting those deeper things in there.
Well, maybe it's not just execution. It's also, you can't help if people aren't connecting with it on that level too. It's execution, but also it really is subjective how people are going to connect with what you made. So you can't really control it also if people don't get anything deeper from it, even though if something deeper did go into it.
So they might leave the movie and be like, yeah, it was about a girl just getting, like, there was nothing deeper about it. But the meat of it is like why you're going to make something. And I guess people make movies for all kinds of reasons, not necessarily like processing deeper things. I think I'm going to always use it as this processing thing. Whatever. It's going to shape what I'm going to make. And then the vehicle part is always going to be the thing that actually gets people to check it out. I think when I see movies that just have the vehicle and they don't have that deeper meat inside of it, it kind of fills me with an emptiness. And I don't necessarily like those movies. Then again, it could mean something to somebody else. It's just like what you were seeing.
Yeah, I really want to be careful here because this is not an objective thing at all. Yeah, because as an audience member, you're bringing your entire life experience to something, and that will dictate whether you're connecting. Yeah, it's just totally not objective at all anyway.
But yeah, I'm way tend towards more films that, don't have the vehicle, don't have the plot. You can't really say easily what it's about, but it is containing something. Good thing you checked it out. You weren't sold necessarily on the hook that they tried to get you to watch the movie with because it had none, but you're watching it because it's a Godard movie, so you're gonna watch it.
Or Linklater,
Or Hong Sang-soo,
Tsai Ming-liang,
Romer,
Chantal Ackerman,
The
Movie Somewhere by Sofia Coppola. I mean, so many I love that, don't typically have a very conventional narrative thing that I'm describing here with the vehicle shit.
You can't really easily say what it's about sometimes, but there's always going to be something deeper there that is an expression of like his intuition about what the movie should be. I've just been thinking about this because I have a lot of ideas for films that I want to make this year. I'm all charged up again, ready to go again. And I feel like I've kind of unlocked thinking about the premises, the plots, are just kind of prompts that then bring forth this series of decisions for me that I'm going to make. And all those decisions then create the movie that is, unique to me or what I'm thinking about. The premise is just going to get people to maybe show up to watch it. If I make this movie that has no plot, I don't think it's necessarily going to be worse than the other movies. It just might be less watched.
And even just because of the level that I'm at, less discoverable, less findable by people who don't already know me.
And I think that's okay. I can continue to kind of cultivate both skills with every film that I make, expressing this inner thing and then pairing that with the kind of craft of telling a story with this medium. This whole medium is about action and doing and happenings. I had that realization when I saw this movie. I feel like I didn't talk about the movie that much. My original video, I did talk about the movie decently, so maybe I will do dubbing. My cats are going through the trash. Maybe the reason I'm making this is because I feel like there is a lot of emphasis on the vehicle part, but then there's no meat, there's no inner thing. And that's also a part to be cultivated and is cultivated by just going outside. Experiencing life and processing your feelings and thoughts around that. That is what is going to be your movie. That's going to be in your movie. I don't know, that part is not really talked about as much. It just depends on what you're taking in. Okay, I'm done.
Disclaimer, I'm no authority on literally anything, so just what's on my mind, and I wanted to document it here because I think that's what I'm gonna do on this channel and kind of put it into my own words. As my ideas around all of this shit change, so will how I'm gonna make the movies. And I think just for me, I would like to try to publish something around that. The behind the scenes for Beyond Failure Part 2 coming out. Thanks for watching this if you watched it, and thanks for hanging in through rambles. I was going to add this whole video that also talks about as a counterpoint, like, you know, to start from a place of feeling like you want to say this message morally or say this about the world or something is like not a great place to start. And I'm referencing some books that kind of, maybe that's another video though. Okay, cutting myself off.